Happy New Year, and welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Challenges Guide. Now, for those who are new to this series, or those who may need a bit of a refresher, the Weekly Challenges are a set of live events that go live Thursday night, Friday morning, depending on your region. These usually consist of 4 races already in game that may need unlocking depending on your progression, while the 5th one, called the Special Event, is one that takes on a time trial, a mission challenge, or a race, and usually appears only for that week. So, without further ado, let's dig into this. So, we kick things off with the European Sunday Cup 400. This is a 3-lap race at Grand Valley South Reverse, and requires a road car from the following countries here. So as you can see the wins here, you can see some of the cars that usually will show up here. So I am going to use this DS3 racing here that I've already kind of set up. Let's get a good lap around here, see what this is like. So here we are, coming down the straightaway. And we get to this tunnel here. Now this is where things start to get a little tricky. So we go down to about 5th gear here. Get ready for slowing up. Brake hard for 2nd gear in this corner here. You want to hold that throttle very carefully. Down that bumper there. And then hold again. Obviously you gotta do a little tighter than that. But of course this is going to set you up for an exit coming out of this corner right here. Right down through the bridge. And as you do, get on the brakes, and in the 2nd gear, as you run one there under this post, so it accelerates right about here. Then that throttle nice and early, you can go pretty much right out through here. Here you'll kind of want to lift a little bit before you get on the throttle. That way you can get out of there safely without hitting that rock on the side there. And as you build up speed, coming up here, and right at this bridge, you want to break right there at the 100 mark. Hug that corner again and power on out. Get a good exit. And if you time these going well, you should get some good speed out of it. So, this has been a lap around the Grand Valley South Reverse. Now, let's get into the race and see how things go here. So, for the race itself, not too many tips here. The ideal passing zones are turns 2, 4, 5, and 6 there. And mostly it's about carrying the momentum on corner exit as you do that. So, if you want to keep that in mind, beware of the AI in turns 7 through 9 there. They tend to break a lot, and there usually tends to be a big clumping of them in those areas. So, keep that in mind if you're doing a quick race bonus. Up next, the American Clubman Cup 700. This is a 4-lap race around the Daytona road course and uses road cars professionally tuned from the US. So we go down and you can see some of the usual average cars here. I'm going to choose, and one of my 2 dependables for this is the Shelby GT350R. And you can see what it goes up here. So let's take a lap around here as I'm showing you my setup, and let's see a lap around Daytona. So we go through the tri-oval and brake right about before that black part of the double yellow line. The 2nd gear, and carefully throttle on out as these get very tight right and left. Those curves a bit to turn the car if you have to. Want to brake early. Going into the International Horseshoe section here, and roll right onto the throttle there, onto that curve for a bit there. Now depending on your tuning and stuff, you take this flat out, you might need to lift a bit. I kind of have to there, since it is exchange. So brake down to 2nd gear, same with the International Horseshoe, hug that, and then carefully onto the throttle, all the way out to the little curving here. And then brake into 2nd gear as we exit on out into NASCAR 1 and 2. That throttle there. And this is where you're going to make a lot of passes on the AI here. Taking advantage because they usually don't tend to have the best of exits coming on to this big part like this. So it's a good opportunity to get them. Another good opportunity is coming right about here, second gear, or third gear I should say, through the bus stop, and just want to hang that throttle a bit and throttle right about there as you hit that curve. I hope you hit that fourth one. And then onto NASCAR 3 and 4. Now if you time that right, if you're chasing the AI, you can actually get a lot of good passes done there, taking advantage of the momentum you tend to carry, while the AI tends to slow itself by braking too much for that corner. Anyhow, onto the drivable, and that is a lap here around the Daytona road course. So, tips for this race: have a car around at least 700 performance points to better combat the quarterback of Froggo, because he does have a very quick car in a straight line. So beware of that guy, and take advantage of the AI's sloppy lines exiting onto NASCAR 1 and 2 and the bus stop. Again, they'll be braking a whole lot, not really getting good clean accelerations. So if you time it just right, you can get some good passes done. Next, Porsche Cup. This is a 5-lap race. It's Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya GP layout. No chicane. It's 600 performance points or less, and it all has to be a Porsche. Simple as that. And you can see all the Porsche models here available. I'm going to go with my trusty 911 GT3. It's not my 7th model here. Might be the last time. Who knows? But anyhow, let's see what a good lap is like around Catalunya. So, here we are on the front straightaway here. Carrying a lot of good speed here, so this is going to be a very hard braking area, and one that leads into a right and left hander, so you really got to set it up well. So brake just before that little black part there on the gantry. Tires on the curb there. And you can on the curves you want there. I didn't. And here, third gear, but you want to hold that throttle to right about there when you start seeing that orange or white line on the outside. Then onto the curb, and then onto the brakes just before you get to that bridge. And then hold the line around here and start accelerating just as that little part goes out of your view. Down to second gear, and again, you're going to hold that throttle until you start seeing that curve right there here. Under this bridge. And this is another one you want to be careful to hold your car with gear there. Obviously, you can turn a little tighter than this. But again, you go through there. And then here you want to actually hold it to third gear, use that curve on the inside, then accelerate. You'll just have all that curve to keep you nice and comfy there. And then this is one of the trickier ones. So you want to brake right where those tire marks start on the curb to the right. Hang that tire there onto that curbing, accelerate right on out. Take as much acceleration as you want. Second gear. Again, hold that car right there and start accelerating just as soon as that little curb there goes by, that little sausage curb. And here, hold third, and then get back on the power about here, and then brake just as that sausage curve appears. Turn in, accelerate right there as that pit wall goes by. And that is a lap around the Barcelona. So, of course, the tips for this one: ideal passing zones are in turns 3, 5, 9, and 13. I feel those are good places to take advantage of the AI's less than stellar lines here. But you will want to be careful of the AI's repeated braking to turn 14, as they brake multiple times despite being in good enough position where they should accelerate. So if you're doing a clean race bonus kind of run, keep that in mind if you're going for a pass. So next up, the Nissan GTR Cup, a second one in as many as 3 weeks. This is a 5-lap race around the Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve, a track recently added in Spec 3. But of course, you can only use the sports tires there, 700 performance points or less, and basically every GTR in the game, including the one in the power pack. Well, minus the race cars, obviously, but still. And as I promised, here is a specially built car for these events. Now I'm still working on the tune, so I won't be sharing those for now, but here is my lap around Gilles-Villeneuve. So, ideally, here's what I do. In the second gear, through Garage Senna. This one right here, hang on there, and then power out right here. I feel this is what will get you a lot of good exit speed and pick up a lot of time on the AI. brake, third, second gear. And I always hug these curbs because I feel that turns the car quite a bit. Obviously, third to fourth gear, depending on your tune, you might want to lift just to make sure you can get a good grip through this corner. Hard braking push in second gear. And I use all this curbing aggressively, sometimes a little too aggressively, as you can see there. But back onto the power here, all the way out to the wall. Leave this. And of course, prepare yourself well for these because you've got a set of curbs. Brake right there, the other 150 mark, just to make sure you get this slowed over the curves like this here. Probably one of my best exits ever. And of course, keep that momentum going into this corner right here. And I tend to use that little section there to brake instead of the markers. And that's why, because I can always turn on the dime there. Power right on out, over the curb. And this is plank along the back section there. And this is where the temptation to just send it is very strong because you can get good power, get good acceleration. And you want to brake right over that bridge right there. Into second gear and hit these curves just right. If you hit them wrong, you'll lose control. But do everything right, and you've completed a nice fast lap around Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve. So as for the race here, take advantage of Virage Center for passing. Wait till the AI washes out, as you can see here, turn right on in and power right out. And again, good exit speed will get you by these cars in corners like this every time. Be careful passing the AI at turn 5, as they'll abruptly slam on the brakes through the middle of this section, so you want to lift off a bit, just to be cautious. And beware of the curbs at turn 13 and 14, basically near the wall of champions. Again, you hit those wrong, you will spin or you will crash, so keep that in mind. And for the final, the special race, the F3500 one make. This is a 5-lap race around the Marina circuit, another one recently added in Spec 3, and you could use either the F3500A or the F3500B. It doesn't matter what aero configuration, doesn't even matter which engine, because you can do the engine swaps as well and still use it. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to use the F3500B and its default stuff along with some aero stuff. And now to show you a good lap around here. So here's what I do around this circuit I've recently fallen in love with, if that's possible. So down to second gear, careful on that power there. Again, it doesn't matter which you use, the power curve is ridiculous. Fourth gear through there, fourth through here, and you can look at take all that curve there. Just make sure you don't go over the lines with your left. Down into first gear, I feel, because I feel like the car will actually rotate a bit more in that gear. Careful on acceleration, of course, because that power curve again comes on very abruptly. So straight kind of kicks to the left a little bit. And we'll keep that in mind. Here we are for 6 and 7 at the 150 mark. And turn in, and I usually take these curves like this because I feel that minimal interference with the car and I get the car going quicker. So acceleration on out through this section here. And then you get on the brakes just as that darker line comes up. At least that's my marker. Keep on, and to slowly accelerate out of here. You should be able to touch all this curve if you do it right. Flat through this section. Take advantage of that arrow every time. Brake. Again, it's a first gear because I feel a better rotation. And here you want to be really careful with your throttle management because it's too easy to spin out. Gently accelerate through here. You'll be very close to the wall if you do it right. And then keep your fourth gear, really lift and brake deep right here, the first gear. Out onto the power, out to this curb. And that's the lap around the Marina circuit. And my tips for this particular race, the ideal passing zones are turns 3, 5, 9, 12, and 16. At least that's where I've made a lot of my successful passes every time I've done a race here, no matter what car. Take advantage of the aero in turn 3 to make up time on the AI. Likewise in turns 10 and 12, as the AI seem to be much slower in both of those sections, especially turn 3. Be cautious with turns 6 and 7. Those curbs will upset the car depending on how you take them. And again, I take them very gently for minimal disturbance of the car balance. So, you remember all these? You should be able to get by the AI. They're not impossibly difficult if you know the right lines, the braking points, and are careful with your throttle management. So that's it for this first edition of 2016. If you guys enjoyed this, then give it a like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tick the bell icon to be notified when these go up at the regular 1 p.m. time slot. So that is it for me right now. Hopefully you guys have had good holidays and have a happy new year. And as always, and throughout 2026 I should say, I will see you guys in the next video.